Morning. It's pre-sunrise out here. I don't know if you can tell. And I'm on my way to make my historic supercharge. I turn off the autopilot. We are a couple blocks away from the supercharger where I'm going to charge. And say hi if you're out there. Let me know if you own a Tesla. Doesn't matter if you own a Tesla or not. Let me know if you own any electric vehicle. If you're familiar with charging, fast charging, Tesla calls it supercharging. If you know about, I don't know, the myths of supercharging or fast charging and what it might do or destroy your battery pack, anything, any kind of questions, let me know in the comments, because hopefully I'll dispel some myths in this video. And we're broadcasting to multiple platforms right now. We are on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, a couple channels, and actually many pages on Facebook, not just Tesla channels. This is not a Tesla thing. This is an electric vehicle thing. And that's why I want to, again, get on here. I have a feeling, unless somebody can let me know in the comments, that I have more experience with fast charging electric cars than anybody else, I'd say, on the planet at this point in time. I don't think anybody else has ever supercharged their vehicle as many times as I have. Let me turn on the autopilot so you can hear that I'm in the car. I'm approaching a red light, but you see how it works. Autopilot is just kind of guiding us towards the red light, and it's going to stop. Actually, there's a Tesla uh, showroom area, or it's like they don't have any dealers. I'll dispel those myths too. See, we're in Fort Myers, pre-sunrise. Tesla cars in the lot, they're still available. Actually, I think they all have $7,500 discounts apparently until the end of the year. They just added S and X yesterday. So we're about to do the charge, and let me start dispelling some myths. First of all, people think that your battery's not going to last very long, and when it dies, you're going to total your car because electric car batteries are so expensive, right? And they are expensive, and actually electric cars are expensive. And this car that I have, this Model X, is the most expensive car I've ever bought by a wide margin. I'd say by like 3 times what it was. But I did the math, after buying $30,000 cars and thinking those were expensive. And actually, I realized that I wasn't going to have to pay to fuel the car. I wasn't going to have to pay gasoline. And as you probably know, a lot of gasoline is actually tax. It's not just the fuel that you are putting in. And with electric cars, at least right now in 2022, going into 2023, which is tomorrow, because this is the last day of the year, that you don't have to pay any kind of road tax on your electricity that you use to power your electric vehicles. And you may not have ever realized that, and some of you may be infuriated now that I told you that. You're going to route to your lawmakers and tell them to update whatever it is that needs updating so that all of your electric that goes into your car can be taxed. And I'm sure it will at some point. It's only a matter of time that that's going to happen. So, all right, let's get back to why I'm making this video. The original reason, the main reason, is because I wanted to dispel some myths, some rumors. And actually, you probably know almost all rumors are false anyway. Don't believe them. So definitely don't believe this. And I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have bought this car. I don't have a home charger, all right? That's one of the things you need to know. Why am I charging so much out of superchargers? Because I don't have a home charger. So I have no choice. So, all right, we're going to pull up here. Here's what it looks like when you're pulling up to a Tesla supercharger area. And they got a fireworks stand here. I don't know why they started this thing. But you can see there's a couple cars here already. And we're going to pull in right here. This is going to be kind of hard. And look at the overflowing trash. This is like a new thing with the superchargers. It never used to be like this. And this is like the pet waste area. All right, let me back this thing up. I'm going to just let you watch what I'm watching on the screen. So with the Tesla, obviously you got these little markings. It's not that difficult to back in, although I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of really bad jobs backing into supercharger areas in the last couple of years. I've owned this vehicle since early 2017, so I'm like definitely an early adopter. I can tell you how things have changed. What hasn't changed is the reliability and the ubiquitousness of the supercharger network. All right, there we go. I'm going to put it in park. Open the door. Okay, let's go out here. And there were crows here yesterday. There are crows here today. So here we go. Supercharger is so easy. There's no thing on here telling you, a screen telling you where to put your credit card or anything. And let me also let you know, if you're not familiar with how it works, there's a little gauge on here. See, it tells me 37 miles are left. If I come over here to the battery, it tells me 37 miles are left. I'm in the yellow, which means I'm below 20% battery remaining. So, and here, this is saying, tells me the last paid. This is how this is how you get paid, not how you pay the bill. Is it logs in your Tesla account and charges you? But for me, it doesn't. And I'm going to get to that in a little while. Why it doesn't do that and how you can find a used Tesla that doesn't do that. Now, you can see on the map, if you ever want to find a charger, it makes it easy to find. You can see where I am. There's chargers around me here, up here. And then when you want to navigate, you just push this button. It tells you how to get there. It makes sure you don't run out of electricity. It even preheats the battery, preconditions the battery for you. Actually, the screen's just changed brightness because the sun's about to rise over there. So really, you don't have to do any thinking at all. It all goes on your account automatically. And let's go over here to the SuperCharger, where you can see, again, there's nothing here but a cable. And we've had some problems, and I did a video here how these cables will fall out, and in cold climates, you'll actually get ice and snow packed in there. So bring a heat gun because these things, a lot of times they don't latch that well, and as they wear, they fall out. Sometimes they bang your car. So there's an old ice vehicle, noisy, super loud. I'm not used to that. Well, let me tell you about how we're using the car. Actually, my wife's in here sleeping in the car, believe it or not. All right, now I guess I could wrap it around this way if I wanted to. I'm trying to get the phone. All right, so here we go. This is going to be SuperCharge number 2,500. And I want to show you that I've been keeping track. Actually, Tesla keeps track for you on your account. But for me, I've been keeping track with the PlugShare app. If you use that, let me know. If you don't use the PlugShare app, go ahead and get on there. Oh, my door just closed. That's a whole other story. My doors are automatic, but they're not working right. And that's because someone smashed into the side of my car. Actually, I had 2 accidents here. Been repaired by Tesla, mostly. Have a few other minor bugs to work out. Okay, so for this, when you approach, you can just push the button. So there's a kind of a button thing on here. When you do, it opens up, and then you just put it in. And if it makes contact, it'll be dark blue like that, and then it'll be green. There goes our other ice person. Old school dinosaur cars that actually pollute and will kill you if you get trapped in the garage. Until it turns green, it's just kind of checking, it's communicating with the car. There it goes. Now it's green. That means it's charging. So we're started officially SuperCharge number 2,500. And all these crows are, I guess, very happy. But there's so much trash around here. And here, the sun is coming up. All right, so that's it, 2,500. How do I know? Let me show you on the app in a second. All right, over here at my door. Actually, I can give you a whole workaround with the Tesla cars. First of all, this orange windshield is not broken. While we're here, let me just talk about it a little bit. Orange windshield is just kind of some kind of heat rejecting stuff. I've got the full self-driving. I bought my car in 2017 early. I placed it 2016 because I wanted to get in with the old school where I don't have to pay. Actually, believe it or not, I've charged 2,500 times. And if you're new to electric cars, or if you know much about them, you know it's getting kind of expensive to charge them. Even $20 was a good deal for a 90 kilowatt battery pack like I have here a while ago, but it costs a lot more than $20 now. And I've got 2,500 charges. It's more than just the miles I've driven. I got 226,000 miles on, and I'll show you my odometer. It's about to cross over 226. But I've also got the full self-driving, which means you have 3 cameras up here in front of, right behind the rear view mirror. You've got cameras here on the B pillars that face out this way forward so it can see the sunrise over there. You've got another camera over here, and you got it on both sides. This one faces backwards so you can see what's going on in the back. And then when you come all the way to the back, above the license plate, you see right here, there's another camera right in there. That one sees the back. It's kind of like a wide angle view. And of course I tow. So I'm towing 226,000 miles, original battery pack. I'm supercharging. Now, what's the deal with supercharging? Why are people saying that supercharging shouldn't be done all the time? Well, it charges at a much faster rate than if you charged at home. And when you do that, you create a tremendous amount of heat. And because you're creating heat, the battery cells like to be perfect temperature all the time. And the heat will destroy them. Just like if you freeze them too much, you'll probably destroy them as well. But cold isn't as big of a deal as heat. Heat is a real destroyer. That's why you have your air conditioning system in the car. It's not like an ICE car where it's optional. Like back in the 80s, if you ever bought a Honda or Toyota, I think Hondas definitely, they were optional. Air conditioning was a dealer installed option. You can't do that on an electric car that fast charges. Old Leafs didn't have thermal, they didn't have basic climate control for the battery pack, full climate control. They didn't have it, the early electric cars. And they didn't work very well when they got in the hot climates because of that. But this has the air conditioning system, and I've actually had to go through 2 compressors already because it kicks on when the battery heat gets really high when you're supercharging. Actually, right now, it's cool out here. I think it's like 60, 65 degrees. It's almost perfect. And let's check the charging rate. We'll see if it's going on or not. So hopefully you guys understood the full self-driving here. If you don't, let me know questions. I paid for that way back in the day. It was like only like $4,000. I don't know what it is now. It's like, I think it's like 15,000, something like that. But you can see we got the green, so we are definitely charging, and the sun's coming up. So let's go inside and let me show you some more of what's going on. And the car is actually kind of messy, but it is what it is. We'll tell you more about why it's messy. And like this door should open all the way. There is a sensor in this Falcon Wing door, and this Falcon Wing door kind of lifts up and goes out. I don't even know if I can. Right now, I know it's not going to work right if I do it, so I'm not going to show you right now. But ooh, we got birds pooping right up there. Do you see that poop? Look at that. I hope that bird goes away because that thing almost got me, you know. It almost got the car too. Oh man. All right, I'm getting in the car. We'll talk more when I get in the car because I don't want to get pooped on. All right, now in this car, I can shut the door simply by, excuse my mess, pressing on the brake pedal. And it shuts the door. All right, now let me show you how I know I've got 2,500 supercharges here. Here's my phone. Put my code in. Like I said, if you don't use the PlugShare app, highly recommend it. That's me, Mike Young at digitalnomad.net. And also go subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I got the sun coming up right in my eyes now. And if I scroll down here, I can see how many times I've logged in. There it is, 2,500. You see that? 2,500. And they're all supercharges. There's an occasional slow charger that I used to use when the supercharging network wasn't as good. But there are superchargers everywhere. Let me show you again on the map. And you can see the charging rate right there, 108 kilowatts. You see that? 108 kilowatts. It's very fast charging rate, and actually it doesn't even need to cool the battery pack off, but normally it does. It was probably about 150 kilowatts when we first plugged in. I didn't show you. That's it. That's the rates per hour that's going into the battery pack. You can see we're up to 63. It's green now. And if I go like this, you'll see a graph showing where you are. And you can set the limit if you want. And I'll talk about that too. Like, what's the limit? What should you charge to? Well, the old school thought pattern anyway was that you would go to 80, which is about here. And that is important. I think that your battery basically likes to be between 20% and 80%. We were just below 20 when we pulled in. And you want to pull in, you want to go below 20 if you can when you pull in the supercharger, but not so low it's going to cut off on you, which it will as it gets older. And I can talk about that too. I've had some experiences with that. Oh, actually, I can hear it now. Let's go outside and hear those fans while we can. So you can hear what it sounds like when it's cooling off, using that air conditioner to cool off the pack. It's finally warmed up to a point where this stuff's kicking on. There's a big fan under here, and it sucks the air in through the air conditioner compressor, cools your battery pack off, keeps it about the same temperature, or at least it tries to, when you're supercharging. All right, so I don't want to enter my PIN. Enter my PIN to drive is a good safety security measure you should always have in your Tesla. That's changed over time too. All the stuff, software updates have changed over time. But I usually will leave mine all the way up to 100% when I'm supercharging because I'm always driving. I'll drive the mileage off. What you don't want to do is charge it to 100% and park the car and just let it sit there. If it's going to sit, you want to bump it down to about 80% if you're going to let the battery pack sit. And then, if you go too low, especially as you get older, and I've got so much mileage. Let me show you how much mileage I have. Where is it? There. Okay, can you see now? Hopefully you can. But my mileage is 225,910. 225,910 on the original battery pack, original motors. Problem is, let me show you that graph again. When you get down, put it back up because it'll shut off automatically if it hits that line. All right, problem is when you get down that low and your battery pack is old, it's kind of like on your phone. Let's say you get down below 10%. I say that's the key range. It might just not know where the bottom is anymore and just shut off on you. And that's happened to me. I think at one point I had to get towed when I had 8 miles of range left. Another time it was 13. So I don't let it go below 20 miles of range anymore. I want to get it charged up as fast as you can. And actually don't let it sit when it's low either, because you'll find that you'll lose a huge amount of battery just sitting there. And that doesn't usually happen unless you're at a very low state of charge. I had some friends that's happened to recently. It's happened to me as well. You just go into a store, you come back out after a half hour, and you've lost 10 miles of range, and that's not normal. Sometimes it's more extreme. Sometimes it's not that bad, but either way, it happens when you get near the bottom of the battery pack. So I'll charge all the way up. In this case, if I have somewhere to go. If I don't have somewhere to go, then I'll just pull the plug or disconnect at 80% around there. That's what you want to do generally. So I've taken as best care as I could of this battery pack, but I do charge up to 100% quite a bit, especially when I'm on long trips, especially when we're living out of the car. And let me just flip this camera around real quick so you can see Denise. She's actually not feeling well, but she's back here in her bed. Yeah, she's kind of sleeping, but that's her bed. This is a mattress right here. We have a suitcase and a cooler. We're all set up for car camping, and that's something else that we do. And if you notice on this video, it says that you can subscribe to my channel. Let me block the sun. The sun is coming through. All right, at adigitalnomad.net. Where can I get me out of the sun? There we go. Adigitalnomad.net is the name of our YouTube channel, and there's more Teslas going in there. And you can hear my car is really revving up. It's really working to cool that battery pack off now because the heat has built up. And again, that's why people have been saying in the past, well, don't supercharge any more than you have to, because let me get my sunglasses on if I can find them here. There they are. We can go outside. I'll talk to you. I'll let Denise kind of there. How's that? Better. You heard it all. Okay. Denise is saying hi, but I'm going to go out because I'm getting blinded by the sun. I can't sit here in the direct path of it. And hopefully the bird won't poop in the car anymore. All right. So basically, here's some other things I have not told you about. Why can I use this contraption over here, put 90 kilowatts of electricity maximum, because that's the original capacity of the pack. I have a 90D. The old ones they had the numbers like that, but the new ones don't even have numbers on them anymore. Tesla's kind of moved away from that. It's kind of like Mercedes had with their displacements on their engines, and they weren't even true after a while. The Tesla never did that. Okay, back in the old days of Tesla, 2012, 13, when only Model S was available, 2014, and 2015 late, I think, is when Model X became available. And basically, believe it or not, at all vehicles at that point in time, and they launched the SuperCharger network in 2014. They didn't even have that until then. They were all free. You could just go ahead and plug your car in. Nobody got charged. Let me be careful with that use of that word. Nobody had to pay when they plugged into a Tesla SuperCharger. That's the way it was with every single car until 2016. And it was about mid-October 2016, Elon made an announcement, and most people weren't paying attention. I know they weren't even paying attention to full self-driving or level 5 or whatever this kind of stuff was. Most people didn't even think it was possible. Most people thought, they still might think that electric cars are just overpriced golf carts. Let me know if that's how you think. But check out the sunrise over there. Anyway, so back in the day, and it's weird because most people who have Teslas now probably don't even know about this. Back in the day, you could just plug in like I do, and there's no money or anything that comes on your car. So there's three levels of this. 3 levels of Teslas, depending upon when you bought your Tesla and what you can do in terms of free supercharging or paid supercharging. Now mine is the grandfathered old school one. Actually, I'm sorry. When I said October 2016, I was talking about
I was talking about autopilot. I'll get to that in a minute too. I already showed you the cameras earlier, but I'm going to talk to you about how do you know if your car's ever eligible for what they call full self-driving. Okay, 2016 was the year though, because if you didn't take delivery or order your car by December 31st of 2016, I think eventually they pushed that off, the ordering thing, to mid-January of 2017. But I already ordered mine right before the end of the year. As long as you did that, you either took delivery or ordered. So my delivery didn't come in until March, but it didn't matter. It just mattered when I placed that order. Then your vehicle, like this car, this digital device, laptop, whatever you want to call it, okay? Laptop on wheels, phone on wheels. As long as this thing rolls, okay, and it doesn't get totaled or something else happens with the title where Tesla says, you know, it's not safe to supercharge the battery pack. And there are situations that are like that. And there's people on YouTube that have, and other places on social media that have tried to get cars like that working. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes Tesla doesn't realize it at first. Sometimes they figure it out after the fact. But either way, they'll figure it out eventually. So as long as this thing rolls and is safe to roll, that's the thing. Never have to pay for any supercharging ever. And look, one of the birds got me right over there. Damn. All right, well, that's what happens when you're on the road. So this vehicle right here, if I own it, if I sell it to somebody else, every time it plugs in, it's always the same. Now, sometimes if you go to Tesla, they might remove that. So be careful who you're buying it from. But generally, if you have any questions, just ask me. Actually, send me an email. You can go to my YouTube channel, adigitalnomad.net. You can find contact information from me there. Just let me know. Actually, I'll give you my number, 240-205-0417. Just text me. I'll help you figure this out because it's kind of a maze. The other thing is if you bought the car after that, for a period of time and for different times of promotion when sales were slow, and you know, there was a promotion just now where they actually cut the cost. It's the first thing they ever did, because in the past, what they would do is they'd give you free supercharging miles or free unlimited supercharging. And for S and X, at least, up till about 2018, approximately, and even some of the initial Model 3s, I think performances, had free supercharging for the original ownership life only, though. Okay, it doesn't go with the car. Like this one, mine goes with the car. So mine actually really affects the resale value in a huge way. As long as you don't give it to Tesla and they take it away. If you buy it from me, it's gonna stay with the car because they're not gonna change it. They can't change it. Actually, that's the original deal. But if you bought one of the other ones, what'll happen is between 2016 late and 2018, or depending upon whether they're offering you a promotion or not, if it was free supercharging for life, it only goes for the original owner. So keep that in mind. A lot of people think, well, I have free supercharging. I'm selling my car. It has free supercharging. Well, most of the Teslas that have been built since the end of 2016. Even though there was many years there, like 4 years of producing Model S, these are very rare now. It's kind of weird. It used to be like I was in like a little club of people, and we all talked about this kind of stuff with superchargers in 2017, so before Model 3 came out. But since Model 3, there's been an explosion of Teslas on the road, and people don't even know. Like I said, they don't even know that this stuff is free. So did you know? Let me know in the comments. If you knew, great. If you're looking for one that's used, let me know. Like I said, just contact me. I will help you find one because they're not that easy to find, and they're definitely valuable if they go with the car, like what I have here. Now, the other thing was the full self-driving, right? I showed you the cameras. Like we'll go back over and take a look again. There's a camera right here on the B-pillar. There's a camera right here, the fender. There goes a happy supercharged Tesla. And then there's cameras up front, cameras in the back. Well, if you have all those cameras, you automatically have the computer hardware to run FSD, full self-driving. Elon says it will be level 5. You have the capability to have the full self-driving computer in here, which they upgraded mine for free. So if you went in and you bought the car, or somebody bought the car and they paid for all the stuff and Tesla didn't take it away, again, you got to be concerned about that because they may have taken it away, then you have the ability to do all the full self-driving features and hopefully level 5. That's what they told me. That's one of the reasons why I bought the car. I believe it. Eventually it'll happen. The only question is when. How fast is the computer going to be? How well is the software going to work? All this kind of stuff. So you'll be able to do all this stuff as long as you have a vehicle like that. Now, how do you know if you have the vehicle like that? Well, most Teslas are capable of that. Believe it or not, it's the exact opposite of the supercharging thing I just told you about, because on the supercharging thing, most all newer Teslas have to pay to use this thing, and it's not free. But on the flip side, almost all those cars that have to pay, guaranteed you can do full self-driving. You've got all the hardware in there, and Tesla says they will not upgrade the hardware if your car was built before mid-October of 2016. That's the cutoff. Anybody built after mid-October 2016, you either already paid for the FSD, or you can pay, or you can get the hardware upgrade if you need it. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's not, depending upon if you're the original owner, if you paid, because Tesla's trying to make the software updates so that they're actually only going with the purchaser who's owning the car, and they try to sell them several times on the same car if they can, because it's a good revenue stream for them, and it's really expensive now too. Let me know how much you pay. I think it's like $12,000 to $15,000 now for the software suite. So basically, you have to have a car that's built from October 2016 forward to do the full self-driving. So also with my car, and you may not be aware of this, there is like a little window of opportunity there between October mid 2016 and whenever they cut off the free supercharging, which in my case was March, because I took delivery even after I bought it, placed the order in December. I've got one of the few cars that is capable of full self-driving, assuming we can get it that far and people don't keep ramming into my car, because I've had 2 major accidents in the last 2 years, actually both within 24 hours on the highway. Anyway, they will they're the most valuable Teslas, if you ask me. I made a video on this years ago. I said the most valuable Teslas have already been produced. People are like, oh, I want to buy one of those $250,000 Roadsters or something, and that's not the most valuable Tesla, because the one that is going to be the most valuable is going to be one that I can kind of just drop off or drop me off and go out and earn money for me and not have to pay for all the electricity. And there's another thing, by the way, on the superchargers I'll tell you about. I have videos of this on the channel, which is why I'm kind of, again, telling you, go check my channel out, adigitalnomad.net. Just go subscribe. It's a YouTube channel. Talks about the digital nomad lifestyle. And, you know, we're living out of the car, basically, all winter long. So, where was I going with that? Yeah, the most valuable Teslas have already been produced, and this is one of them, and they won't be anymore. Another factor, another caveat here with the supercharging, this is what I was getting to, is that there is something called a fair use supercharger policy that started, I think, end of 2017. Have to correct me, I'm not sure if that's right or not. But if your vehicle was delivered after that point in time, it's subject to the fair use supercharger policy. And that actually says you cannot use superchargers for commercial purposes. So unless they change that, once they introduce the ride sharing network, the Tesla ride share network, and you can earn money, and these birds are really liking this video. They want to get on this video, I think. You won't be able to use it even if you pay. So that's another thing. And let me also talk about, again, about the supercharging network. This is the most reliable network. There's no question about it. I've had this vehicle since early 2017. Over almost 250,000, 225, 226. I guess we're at a 250,000. We're over 250,000 miles, 2,500 superchargers. I can count probably on my hands only 10, right? The number of times I pulled up to a supercharger out of 2,500 and had an issue with it, and maybe just had to move to another one, because you can see how many there are here. Okay, so all I have to do is move to another one. Now, that's not the experience with EVgo. I've done a video with Electrify America about how horrible the experience was. Check out the channel if you want to see that. It's just not the case. They don't have enough chargers. They don't work. It's not the same technology. Let me also mention this cable over here. If I go over to the supercharger, this thing is really easy to use. Like it's like a thick garden hose, but it moves around. It's not that long. I wish it was longer. And you can buy extension cables, believe it or not, which I'm going to look into. They're backward right now. They will extend this. I don't think they're Tesla approved, but it's easy to move. It's easy to maneuver. It's easy to it's not unwieldy. That's how I would describe the current fast charging standard, which does not meet Tesla, because Tesla has their own unique stuff. This stuff's way better. It's way more reliable. It's way easier to use. Just you got to make sure you don't park too far away from the charger. That's the only thing. And I wish there were drive-through chargers, because I tow. That's a whole other story. You saw the ball in the back of my car. I'm towing all on a regular basis. So right now, EVs aren't really set up for towing. And of course, you go through double the electricity or double the fuel, whatever you would if you were driving normally. Same type of a deal. So it's not that outrageous. But I just want to say that these things are so easy to use. They're so reliable. And I have experienced this year Okay, check out my channel about the Polestar 2 that we rented, and we had it twice, and I took it on long distance trips. The experience is just not the same. Um, about the only thing that I liked about it was that in some of these remote chargers, there weren't that many people, and it was kind of like a club, I guess, kind of like how Tesla was back in the day. And now there's just so many people that have Teslas. It's great. I mean, they're everywhere, and there's more chargers than ever. Is the other thing. There's so many SuperCharge stalls, not just the stalls, but locations, and your car figures the whole thing out for you. So hopefully I'm dispelling some myths for you about EVs. And again, if you have questions, let me know in the comments, or reach out to me directly. You can get my email by going to my YouTube channel, adigitalnomad.net. And what's the other part of being a digital nomad, right? We have a whole setup here in the car, and I've got a video on it about the load balancing router we have. We have 2 ISPs. Denise has to be logged into her VPN. She's got her laptop with 2 extra screens, so 3 screens all together. It's a pretty cool setup. So check that out on the channel if you haven't seen that already. What else can I tell you? Basically, like I said, I'm out here to dispel the myths, the rumors. The rumors are crazy, and they're always bad. Rumors are never true, okay, first of all. And they're certainly not true in this area. And I think the pendulum swung in the middle of 2020 when people realized that this stuff's the future, and that Tesla knew what's going on. They know they've done it right. But I'll be interested to see what happens when Tesla opens up this network to other cars, because Denise and I were traveling across Miami, across Alligator Alley a couple days ago, and I saw a VW ID4, their SUV, pull up into a supercharging station. And then right now, only Teslas can supercharge. So they pulled in, they were trying to they went forward, they went backward, trying to get the cable to reach and everything, because it's in a different spot and it doesn't reach. And they finally quit and gave up. But I'd never seen that before. But that's going to be in the past soon, because pretty soon all these cars will be able to charge at the supercharging stations. I'm not sure if that means that Tesla's going to retrofit what they have. I don't know if they will, but I know on the newer stations they'll probably have multiple plugs on these charging stalls. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because I've also seen all the FUD, of course. I want to address that here in this video on social media about 6-hour waits for superchargers. Everyone's just throwing Tesla and Elon Musk under the bus. It is so crazy. And if you look at who's doing this, of course, they all have ties to the traditional automotive industry. They all have ties to the oil industry. They all have ties to the media and the slant, because apparently, people used to think, I don't really like to get in politics, but people used to think that Elon Musk was an incredibly liberal guy in terms of his politics, but he's always told people he's balanced, and I do believe that. But it's become apparent to people who are very far left recently that he's not far left, which he never was. But now the far left media is just slandering him, basically publishing false stories. It's crazy, because what's happening now is, because of social media, people are realizing that hopefully you don't believe what these stories, because they're just basically all made up. They're all rumors at best. And what's going to happen is people are going to realize how fake the media actually is. Fake is not the word. How the media is basically controlled by their advertisers. The media is basically, it's all biased, and most of the mainstream old school, like I'm 52, so old school for me was like CBS, NBC, ABC, all these places, they've all got that bias in there. And let me also mention with Tesla, to move away from politics, I showed you the dealership, or whatever you call it, down the street over here. They don't have dealers. Everything is owned by Tesla corporate. So they still can't even sell cars legally in certain states because of the dealership cartels or networks or whatever. The unions, because Tesla's not a union company. Everybody's out to get them. It's so crazy. But again, I'm trying to dispel the myths. This isn't some maybe it's a cult. I don't know. I don't think so. But it's not a Ponzi scheme. It's not a pyramid scheme. This stuff actually works. Like I said, this car was sideswiped at high speed when I was towing my trailer, and I was rear-ended when I was towing this double axle trailer, and it rammed into the thing and bent everything up inside of there. So I got smashed in the back, I got smashed in the side. That was at 200,000 miles, and of course it didn't total the car, even though it needed quite a bit of work, because the car's still worth a lot of money. And like I said, even if you didn't realize that I get supercharging for free and the next owner does, which makes it worth even more money, it's still worth a lot of money, because a lot of the reason is because of this network, this charging network. Now, a lot of people will never need the charging network, but like I said, keep in mind, I'm doing this on my channel here. Denise and I live out of the car for 5 months out of the year. I don't even have a supercharger or any kind of connection, even to plug in a 110 at my house. The condo we have in Northern Virginia, it's not even possible. So this is my summary for you, and hopefully you guys have learned something. And if you have questions, like I said, ask below. Go onto adigitalnomad.net YouTube channel, and you can message me there through my email address that you can find on the channel. And outside of that, let me see how much progress we've made while I've been talking to you guys the whole time. Let's go back in the car. All right, where are we? 145 miles. Sorry, that sun is really... There, you can see we're ready to go. If we want to go on a trip now, we're ready to go. We're still at 58 kilowatts of speed. So usually I will stay here at the supercharger until we get down below about 50. Because once you get down below 50, it starts to crawl. Oh, and by the way, your top speeds are going to be like in this area, I'd say. Like right? Let me make sure you can see what I'm pointing at. Yeah, your top speeds are going to be like in this area, and it's going to start to taper off. By the time you get up here, which is why people usually limit it to 80% anyway, it's so slow. It's like a crawl. Okay, like it's going to take at least as long to charge the rest of the battery up as it did to charge from here. We were like down here when we started. Okay, it's just not efficient for your time. But if you're like us and you're working out of the car, it doesn't matter anyway. Like I said, the rule with these batteries is if you charge it up above 80%, just drive it off as soon as you can. As long as you do that, you probably won't have any effect on the battery. Tesla used to tell people never to charge above 80. And a lot of times it defaults. A lot of times if you go to a high-use supercharger, you'll see that this thing will be kicked over here to 80%, but you can just move it yourself. Because even though back in the day they told you not to charge above 80, Elon has come out and said, it was like 3 years ago at this point, you can charge up to 100% if you want. It doesn't matter. One of the big things is, though, keep in mind, once you get up to about 90 to 100%, your regenerative braking is basically none, I'd say, when you get to 100%. It starts to kind of come in as you get down to 90, and then once you're at 90, it's all there. And the reason I mention regen is because if you've never driven an electric car, with regen, you don't have to do anything more than 1 foot driving. You just have your foot on and off the accelerator, because every time you take it off the accelerator, the regen is so strong, it's like you're braking. So you're just kind of feathering the accelerator, on and off to drive, unless you're way up top, and then you're using your conventional brakes, which basically reduces your efficiency. And of course, it wears the brakes. And let me also mention, I think I showed you. Let me show you. There you go. I got 225,901 miles on this car, and I have the original brakes. Okay, I have never touched the brake pads on this vehicle. And let me just show you. Also, the wheels are pretty clean. The rims are pretty clean. There isn't much brake dust here, but on older vehicles like this S and X2. What's funny about them is, if you don't know about electric cars, you have to actually touch the brake for the last, 3 to 4 miles per hour before you come to a complete stop, because it won't allow the motors to stop the car on its own. That's because this has a different type of motor up in the front. Now, on all newer Teslas, I'd say built since about 2018, 19 timeframe, it started with the Model 3. They have true one-pedal driving. We did the Model 3. And actually, even the Polestar, most electric cars now have one-pedal driving, which will allow you to completely stop the car without touching the brake. So even though I still have to touch the brake on this one, the pads are still fresh, even at 250,000 miles on the car. And I would anticipate that I would hopefully get even more out. It may just be at some point that these calipers are going to seize up or something's going to go wrong. I don't even know. But I do enjoy the one-pedal driving more, and I wish that my car had that, but there's no way to retrofit that. But it's okay, because if I were to retrofit that, I'd have a newer Tesla. It wouldn't have the free unlimited supercharging. It goes with the vehicle, all that kind of stuff. It's all a trade-off, but hopefully you guys have learned something. Like I said, this is very complicated. Nowadays with Tesla, it's not so complicated because everybody's basically the same. All the cars are the same, except some are bigger, some are smaller. And this one has Falcon Wing doors, right, on it, and the other ones don't. But I wish I could show. Well, Denise is still sleeping in there, but it doesn't matter. Just watch my channel. I do like videos all the time where we're showing how the doors go up, and it attracts a lot of attention in public still, even in 2020, almost 3. So I try not to open them that much. Truly, I just it attracts too much attention, even though they don't make noise, which is weird because they're totally silent opening and closing, but they definitely attract attention. So I've gone on and on here. It's almost 8 o'clock now. You've gone through the sunrise. The sunrise happened at like 7:15, I think. Sunrise happened at 7:15. So we've been talking for like 45 minutes probably. I'm trying to think before I go off the air here, and keep up with the channel, because if I did 2,500 on this original battery pack, you know it's going to go more. Okay. Oh, and by the way, the battery pack. What's the warranty on your battery pack on the motors? Well, the warranty has changed over time. Check the Tesla website for like the latest offerings for the warranty, because just like the prices, just like everything else, Tesla changes on a regular basis. And I know the press gets mad at them because Elon got rid of the press department a couple of years ago, so they don't even make announcements anymore. But on my car, it's one of the older ones. It's 8 years and unlimited mileage for both the battery pack and the motors. So I've got, what, 2017, 3, 6. I've got a little over 2 more years left on the warranty. So as long as the battery pack lasts another 2 years, actually then I'll have to probably pay for a new one right after warranty. But my hope is that maybe this pack, because it's not going to last forever, will last, I don't know, 300,000 miles and, I don't know, 3,000 superchargers or something like that. I don't know. That's about the life of a lithium-ion battery, I'd say anyways, 2,000 to 3,000 charge cycles on anything. And these are conditioned. That's why you think, well, Mike, why does this last longer than my phone? Because it's conditioned, like I talked about earlier in the video. It's heated and cooled constantly. It's kept at the same temperature automatically. There's nothing you can do about it. Your phone, what kind of heat protection systems does it have? Nothing. You know your phone's probably shut down in the heat before, right? Because it has to, because it'll fry the battery and everything else inside of that. But the battery especially. So the battery will hopefully last that long. And the question is how, and you'll see if you watch the channel, how am I going to know when they're going to replace the battery for me? Because as I told you earlier in this video, I've had 2 times now where I've had to get a tow at 8 miles of range remaining and 13. That's why I will never go below 20 miles of range anymore, where I'm losing that bottom end. And I say Tesla, I think it's time for a new battery pack. And they're like, well, no. And they actually have a new test in here in the software, which I haven't used yet. We get to plug it into 110, I think, and it has to go through a charge cycle on its own to kind of give a health. I don't know if I'll be able to even do that since I don't have any ability to charge at home. As I talked about, this is why I'm such like an anomaly here, and why I'd say I've got more experience getting these supercharging and fast charging at electric cars, especially Teslas, than anybody else on the planet at this point. And it'll keep going as long as my car keeps going. And that's the plan, just to kind of keep this thing as long as it'll roll, because it'll drive itself, and I won't have to pay for electricity going forward. I don't know what's going to happen when they start adding road tax in. I have no idea. Let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know your thoughts too on how I'm going to get Tesla to replace this pack, because I think what has to be proven is that I cannot use the vehicle anymore for what it was originally intended and claimed to be used for. And if it's shutting off on me, of course, I'm not going to be able to do that. But I've also heard of people that have gotten alerts from Tesla on their app saying, bring your car in, we need to put a loaner pack on your car, something's wrong with your battery pack, and they didn't even know. So apparently it's being monitored, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that's about all I have to say. Oh my gosh. But again, keep. It's not just one video. Keep tuned into my channel. It's not about a Tesla thing. This is an EV thing. Okay, we want to see how far these EVs can go, what the experience is as you have owned them for a long time. And by the way, we have a specific Facebook group. It's on Facebook. It's called Tesla High Mileage Club. Go ahead and join that Tesla High Mileage Club. And if you're watching this on Facebook, I think if you scroll down in YouTube. If you scroll down in the video description, you might find a link to it. But just go to Facebook, type in Tesla High Mileage Club. I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more. The membership's been going up in that group. We're seeing a lot of older Teslas, a lot of older, really any EV would be good to see about. And this is, like I said, it's not just a Tesla thing, it's about EVs. And Tesla's just further ahead than anybody else at this point in time. And apparently doing a good job. Like I said, I would tell you, I mean, look, I've heard of people that haven't had as great an experience as I have had with this vehicle, but 2,500 super fast chargers, you heard it, where you have to kick that air conditioning system on to cool that pack down because it's getting so damn hot in there. You know, that, and it happens very rapidly too. And I'm long distance driving the thing all the time. Long distance driving is not an issue. It's an issue with every other EV out there right now. I know people in the Rivian group. If you're watching on the Rivian group, I know everyone says that's the Achilles heel. We've had some discussions going on in that group. What can be done to improve the charging network right now? What needs to happen? Because the Rivian has an awesome vehicle. They've got the SUV and the pickup. And now they have the Amazon delivery van too. But if they don't have the charging infrastructure like this place, and when I say charging, I mean easy to use, consistent, reliable, inexpensive, or at least fairly priced. I don't even know what it would cost me to charge this thing. I'm thinking maybe $40 these days. If you do the math, 40 times 2,500. I know maybe it's like more like 20 back in the day, but still, it's basically, my car has been paid for already, just about. It was $107,000 when it was new, and we're going to keep going. So yes, I had, like I said earlier in the video, I've had to put 2 air conditioner compressors in here, and that's actually the other thing you got to think about with electric cars. If you're supercharging a lot, if you're fast charging a lot, depending upon your brand, going on a lot of long distance trips, this air conditioning system kicks on overdrive. You think it's loud now? You should hear it in the summertime, okay? It has to cool the cabin and the battery pack, so keep that in mind. And also, when my car was new, the maximum rate of charge on this thing was 90 kilowatts. I think you saw it in my video. It was over 100 kilowatts. It usually goes up to about 150 as long as I let it drop below 20% before I charge. So that's a lot higher than it was probably originally engineered for. I don't know. Maybe Elon or Tesla, somebody who's familiar, can tell me if my car was engineered to do 155. I think 155 is what I've seen. Kilowatts. When I got it for years, it was limited to 90 or 110. I think it was 120 originally, 120. And then what they did was this is way back in the day. It shows how old of a Tesla driver I am. After so many supercharges, whatever they predetermined, it wasn't that many. It may have been like 100, okay? Then you were limited to 90 kilowatts peak speed for the remainder of the life of that battery pack. But since they've redone things and lifted the 110 or 120 limit to 150, they've totally done away with that limit as well. That's why I'm not stuck at 90 kilowatts, although it really doesn't make that much of a difference because, like I showed you, it's on a bell curve. You're only going to hit that top speed for a very limited amount of time up in the front of your charge session, assuming that you've let the battery pack go down low enough before you got there. And not everybody does that. I see some people plug in. If you're wondering why you got like 80% on your battery pack and you just want to top it off by going in here because you're on a long distance trip, and you're like, oh, I'm only getting 20 kilowatts. Well, that's normal. If you want the fast speeds, not only do you have to have not too many people here, because if people double up, actually, let me show you that on here. See, this one has a stall number. It's 5B. So there's a 5A also. If someone's on 5A and I'm on 5B, it's going to cut down my charging speeds as well. There's so many things about this. And this is a version 2. Version 3, it's not really like that so much anymore. Version 1 and 2, it's like that. Almost all the version 1s are gone. They look so old school, like an old VCR or something. But version 3 also has, you'll find that in the hot weather, this handle really heats up. And it has a sensor in here. When it feels that it's heated up, I can feel it's heated up right now. When it feels it's heated up, it'll reduce the charging speed. But on version 3, what they do is they put a coolant pump in here. You can hear it buzzing. You can hear it humming. And it pumps coolant all the way through the handle and sends it back and cools it off and so on and so forth. And it keeps the charging speeds up even higher the whole time because of that. Because normally on these version 1 and 2s, it would actually talk with the computer and it would lower your peak charging rate because that handle got too hot. So version 3 doesn't do that anymore. I'm guessing version 4 is going to be the one that's compatible with everybody else to open up Tesla's charging network so that other vehicles can use it, kind of like that VW ID4 that we saw at the charging area of Tesla, trying to plug into a Tesla charger. But soon enough, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to need I can't believe I haven't needed any water to talk while I'm doing all this. But please tag your friends who are EV skeptics. Share this video with EV skeptics. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, adigitalnomad.net. For us, this is way more than this. This allows us to do our lifestyle. When I say our lifestyle, I mean, you saw Denise back there in the bed. She's sleeping. We can keep the HVAC on all night. Heat or cold makes no difference. When we had that cold snap in here in Florida, we went to Miami, we went to Key West, but it still got down to 48 degrees, but we didn't notice because we have the heat on here. And actually, that's another thing. Another detail. Older Teslas have electric resistance coil heaters like I do, which is not as efficient, but man, it's warm. It's like there's a fire in there, okay? But the newer ones just have your air conditioning running in reverse, AKA a heat pump, and they are not as good in the coldest temperatures, but they're more efficient. But they may not keep you warm when you're way up north. So let me know your comments on that. That's another thing. What else can I tell you guys? So much to talk about. And all this stuff is covered on my channel. So definitely subscribe to adigitalnomad.net. We are, I'm involved with Starlink too. I got a rental property up in New Hampshire that has, up in the mountains, has Starlink. It's working great. We mounted up into a tree. There's a video on that. I wish I had the video where I could show you the crane actually placing it in the tree. But I might do a video. I will do another video on that when we get back to New Hampshire in the warm months. I'm not going there in the cold months. Although our Airbnb is available in the cold months. So just check it out. It's called White Mountains Glamping. Check it out there. You got the Starlink internet too. And the driveway all the way outside the mountain is plowed. Thanks to Jesse. He does a great job. And Leah, the cleaner. We have a great team up there, actually. They're awesome. So check that out if you ever like mountain properties, 4-season rentals. They have snowmobile trails, although I'm not really sure where they are up there because I don't do snowmobiles. One came with the house, but we let that go. But that's another story. Okay. Whew. Okay, today is Saturday, last day of the year, so I'm not a salesperson for Tesla, but if I were you and any of this interests you, I would go try to find one. Although you may not be able to find one. Although here in Fort Myers, we saw some out on the lot there. And remember, they're all Tesla owned. There's no individual dealers. So maybe you'll find one, you get $7,500 off. And that's actually a really good deal on S and X. Who knows, they may be lowering the prices and maybe why they're doing this now. But, the main reason why they're doing the $7,500 credit is because people are delaying their purchases of 3s and Ys until this new $7,500 credit enacts after the first of the year. So that's the whole purpose. If you're wondering why they're doing this, yes, I'm guessing sales have slowed because sales of everything have slowed. Values of cars have dropped. Used cars were at an all-time high the last couple of years. Used cars were sometimes, at one point my Toyota Tacoma 2016 was worth the same amount of money that I paid for it last year. But then a new one would be a lot more. So it's crazy. But cars have slowed down. But I think that over time, the people who have done it right, like with the supercharging network, like with engineering the battery packs and the motors right. I've had other issues in the car. Like I said, I had needed two air conditioning compressors because I'm going through this. But how much money have I saved on electricity costs? Over 226,000 miles. And it's not just 226,000 miles, keep in mind. That's why I tell you I've supercharged 2,500 times. Okay, let's say 2,500 times by maybe 70 kilowatts each because my battery pack max is 90. That's a lot of electricity because I tow a double axle enclosed trailer. We car camp 5 months out of the year with the HVAC on like 24 hours a day because we're working in the car during the day and then we have it on at night when we're sleeping. It's a lot of fun. I mean, we get into a lot of adventures, a lot of things going on, a lot of weird stuff, a lot of fun stuff. So definitely watch the channel. And I am baking out here in the sun. I don't want to get, sunburned. So I'm going to have to go in now. And thankfully, the bird up there didn't poop on the car, at least not on this side. And maybe I might just hang around until I unplug the car. What do you think? We are at 181 miles. What I've usually been doing recently is charging up to about 200 miles of range. And then at that point in time, you can see I've got a 30 kilowatt rate of charge. So normally, if I was on a trip, I would be gone now. Because once I get down to 50 kilowatts, you hear the horns. People are waking up. I put on 145 miles. And we'll just wait a little bit longer. I think Denise is up. Maybe Denise can add to the experience of owning an electric car. Denise? She said she has nothing to add. She's not feeling well, actually.
is what it is. But we're gonna try to make some plans for the weekend, last of the new year, and yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add. I might just wait this one out and just say thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you can see me. This is Mike signing off on SuperCharge number 2500, and hopefully I will be with you guys for more SuperCharges on this original battery pack. I'll try to do, some more videos from different SuperChargers here in the through the month of January, at least until we get back into our regular routine with our events that we do with our nonprofit. So that's it. I'll see you in the next video.